Greetings, gang. Well, it's finally time to make some progress after 6 months uh, on getting this pond build going again. I can finally start working on it. Hey, it only should have been done in the spring, right? Here it is, what, October 10th or something like that, wherever we are, about middle of October at this point. So, now that the excavation is finally done correctly, thank you to Mr. Moody for fixing all these screw ups from Mr. Couch. We will get going on here. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about doing this, because there's a whole lot more to building a pond than digging a hole. So let's start with what this problem was in the first place, and I'll kind of give you the old stuff, and so we can see what the new stuff is. All right, so this is what the pond looked like on July 21st. You can see on the right-hand side it was to the top as of what was before. Stumps out there in the middle. There's my drain pipe. And Mrs. P is going to take a walk over to the other side and show you where our problem lies. This is what we got. It was ankle high on this side. So that's why we all had to fix it, and here's what we did. All right, guys. So you've been asking about the pond, and as you can see, I finally had them fix it yesterday. So we have now the walls and everything like that are at the right level. You can see the string line that I threw out there, because God knows an excavator can't figure out how to do shooting grade, but string and a string line will do it every time. So as you can see, I'm getting ready to seal this thing. And of course, this is why you try to build a pond in the spring, because fall leaves. And so now I get to get out here with a rake and march through all the water that's in there and dredge the pond. So whatever. This is the water that's, we haven't had a significant rainfall since late July. Okay. So this water has been in here. It was full, at least on this side, since late July. And so now, with all the leaves falling and everything, there's some water holding, and I've got to get out here and dredge all this stuff out. So this is what I've been working on. You can see I'm probably about 2/3 of the way done. So I will get all this cleaned up, and then I'll show you where we go next. But yeah, building a pond is a little more than digging a hole in the ground. All right, so now that I'm ready to do this, what I'm going to use is a product called Damit. It's from Shalex Industries out of Australia. The stuff ain't cheap. It's about $300 a bucket, but I want water. So bentonite clay would have cost me somewhere around 12 grand to do this. Damit cost me about $1,500. Gee. But if you look on here what it says it's good for, if you can see that, rural and farm dams, garden or park ponds, artificial wetlands, storage reservoirs, golf courses, and more. Well, what am I? I'm going to be a garden pond and a storage reservoir. So that's what I'm going to be spreading in here. Now, the interesting part is, the reason I use this one, this can be used in wet areas or dry areas. So I've got, as you saw earlier, where I was dredging everything, about 1/3 of the pond is underwater. So I'm going to go marching through the water and spread this. I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to get on the dry surface. So get over into doing something like that. But yeah, so I've got boots on and some old nasty jeans. Fortunately, it's a good calm day, which is one of the things that they say to do. And then, as the instructions say, spread this with like a grass seed spreader, not just throw it. So I've got a little grass seed spreader that I'm going to go marching through the water with. Let's go have some fun. All right, so this is what I got. You can see me marching on through. I got my little spreader here. Water gets about to my knees here. So, and I'm even to the top of the burn there. So we're about 7 feet deep when we're done in the middle. But all I'm doing is spreading this with the seed spreader over the water, and it gets to be a nice slimy mess in there. So if you're doing this, definitely use clothes that are throwaway. when, when I finish, the jeans, the boots, everything all wound up in the trash. But you can spread this stuff over the water and it'll sink, or you can spread it on the dry ground, which will be what I'm going to wind up doing next. All right, done getting wet. So, is if you can see what looks like an oil slick on top or whatever the scumminess, that's what it's supposed to do, I guess. And that will sink within a couple of days, is what they said. But I'm looking at this and figure, okay, decent coverage on there. And if you saw, the sides, I put it up the sides. I actually put it very heavy on the sides too. And even though Shalex, the company that makes this stuff, says you don't have to worry about the sides too much because most of the time the leak is from the pressure from the water in the bottom, because my dam is basically all man-made. I mean, it's graded down the back and everything. And when they put the new dirt on top, he could compact it from the outside, but he couldn't compact it from the inside. So I know I'm going to get pressure going through. I mean, then as you saw the pictures, I mean, again, if you take a look here, see if I can get up to the other side. There you go. If you look there on the back rail or the back rim, all the rocks, okay, that is the welcome to Tennessee. I mean, this is what I talk. This is my soil, guys. So you wonder why I talk about raised bed gardening and building my own soil. I mean, this is like jackhammer type stuff. I mean, there's no way in the world you could dig this deep with the shovel. I mean, you're lucky to get a foot deep around here with the shovel. Okay, but that is to cover this part, which I'd say is probably 30 by 30, maybe a little bit bigger. Was it 60? Probably 30 by 50. It took me a bucket and a half, and that was doing the sides very heavy. So I've got maybe 2/3 left. I'll probably have 1 bucket left over, which was my hope, because in doing just like you guys do, watching YouTube videos to learn, because I've never built a pond before. A lot of people said, you've got to do a second application later on down the road because you might still have a leak somewhere. So I've got a second bucket so I can go then spread it over the water and let it find wherever there's a leak. So that's doing the water part. I will show you the ground part next. All right, so now I'm going to put in the stuff on dry ground. And again, you can see my soil, but this is pretty simple stuff. I'm just using the same spreader. The nice part about being on dry ground is you can see where the coverage is. So you know that you've got every spot, as opposed to the water, which you're kind of looking as best you can. But just a matter of spreading it around here. Easy enough. The nice part here is I'm not getting wet, which means I'm not getting sticky. But I've got to be careful as I'm walking around here because my boots are wet, my clothes are wet, and even though it's not a windy day, this is still getting in the air and it's sticking to me. So if you see here, I'm going all the way up the side of the bank. Again, not something that the company recommends. I'm just doing it for my own personal reasons because that part is man-made. So once I get it all spread, then the next step for me is to get out the garden rake, as you can see here, and start roughing it all in. And the point on this one is to get it into the soil so it doesn't blow away. Works out pretty well. Again, with my soil, though, that's a little difficult. You can see right there in the foreground the rocks, and I mean, forget about going through and picking up all the rocks. I picked up tons of rocks and got them out of here, and there's still more and more and more. But that's just Tennessee soil. So I'm raking it in as best as I can here, trying to get it to mix with the clay. That's basically all I can do at this point. So, wanted to show you this part. The ground part's easy. It's a lot of work, but doing it on the ground is a lot easier. If I had my druthers, there wouldn't be any water in the pond, and I could have done it all on dry land. All right, now, I guess this is my last step. This isn't in their recommended instructions, but I'm using common sense because obviously I'm doing this on dry ground, and I want this Damit to mix in with the soil because it's supposed to bond to the soil to fill the holes. So you guys know what the rain situation's like this year. We're all under a drought. So I'm using a sprinkler, and I'm going to sprinkle this stuff all in, and hopefully that will do well enough so if and when we ever get a big rainstorm and I can get this thing filled, I've still got 2 buckets. It took me 3 buckets to do the whole pond. So I've still got 2 buckets that I can go through and reapply after we get some water in there. But now it's up to Mother Nature, guys. I'll get the water in here, get this watered down, and then it's wait for rain. God knows. We're supposed to get sprinkles on Thursday and sprinkles on the 21st. That's the forecast for the month. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we've got, as usual, bright blue skies with not a cloud to be seen. So, okay, you guys wanted a pond update, and this is where I am. Project started in March, still going in October. Maybe one of these days we'll have water. Okay, guys. Yeah, so much for being the end. I did have a change at the end. I was using the sprinkler and decided no, that wasn't going to work right because the whole idea was not to activate the granules and everything like that. It was to make them a little sticky so they'd stick to the soil, because when water goes in there, obviously then I want them to be able to find where to go. So I didn't want them to activate. I just didn't want them to blow away in the wind. So what I used was a garden wand and went over and just got them wet so they retain a little bit of water. They're heavier and it doesn't blow away. That was the whole idea. So now when it fills up, they should expand and do their whole thing and find their way home. So, all right, that's it. I'm a sweaty mess, as you can tell, and all those clothes went in the garbage. Have a good one. Pinball out.